Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Staying Strong for Marriages, a YouTube channel dedicated to helping see more marriages restored. Hey, I happen to be at the airport today. It's been a bit loud over the PA. We'll give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. Thanks for some comments recently about improving the quality of audio as well as my delivery. One of the cool things about being a content creator is it does really help you get used to speaking to the camera, which is kind of an odd, awkward thing in the beginning, and hopefully over time it becomes less and less that way. So I collect these stories along the way. I had someone I knew who was a retired pastor uh, asked me this question recently. They knew I was living in the Middle East, and they said, so, to get a lot of attention as a foreigner living where you live. And I said, what do you mean? And they're like, no, I mean, they were saying attention, from the opposite sex. And I said, well, I said, listen, I mean, I wear my ring because I really feel like in my situation that it would be to commit adultery against my first wife if I was to remarry. And, this person, I mean, they're a pastor. They were familiar with the scriptures and what I was referring to. And wow, the response I got was quite troubling on a number of levels. The advice was, well, adultery is not the unforgivable sin. Adultery is not the unforgivable sin. It's true. It's a true statement. True statement. Still, it was the first time I'd ever had a pastor tell me that I should commit adultery. Pretty strange. Well, my guess is that this isn't the advice that this individual gives to married couples. For example, I don't expect that they would go to married individuals and say, hey, just have a one-time fling. Have a one-time fling, no problem. It's not the unforgivable sin. It's interesting. It's interesting the things that we get told as far as people in marriage crises. It's interesting the solutions that people think are going to work out well for us. My advice is to be very careful about these kind of things. But I thought this was a particularly interesting example. A, because it's from a pastor. B, because there was like the green light to commit adultery. That was the advice they were giving to me. And so I bring it up because not everyone would agree that remarriage is adultery. But this is a cool example because this individual obviously saw what I was talking about. They obviously agreed that to remarry would be adultery, and yet they advised me to do it anyway. And that's what was really mind-blowing. So I thought, just something to be aware of, just heads up. You never know what people are going to say to you. And so, you guys, my prayer goes out to you. I pray that God will continue to speak to you and your spouse to reveal the truths of the scriptures regarding marriage, divorce, and remarriage. One thing that's been particularly interesting to me has been trying to look at why is it that God has said these things. Of course, he could make any kind of arbitrary rules he wanted to, but I don't think he's like that. And one of the things I've been trying to do is to look more closely at why would God tell us to wait? Because many people, they also come to me, and it's always the practical reasons that they say for go ahead and remarrying. It's, well, what about money? What about companionship? What about sex? What about, not being lonely? All these types of things. And these are true. These are good points. These are things I'm well aware of. They also say, well, what about if you want to have a family? Another good point. What if you have a family and you need help with the income? Another good point. But the thing is, I think that I looked at Matthew 19. I just looked at an article from J.G. Wenham, Divorce in Matthew, I believe, an old crux revisited. Great article. Check it out. It's on the channel. I do the full reading as well as a summary of that article. It's really good. And one thing that he really highlights is if you notice in Matthew 19, when Jesus told them what his standards were for divorce and remarriage, those boys were shocked. They were they were really like, wow, wow. And I think that's true today. Many people are saying, wow, Jesus, this is really hard. Why? Why such a high standard? Why such a strict standard? Why such a serious commitment to a spouse? Um, why can't we just be released and go on to do whatever we want to do? It does take two, after all, to tango. And so why can't we just try something new? Well, long story short, he doesn't. And if you're not familiar with that passage in Matthew 19, check it out for yourselves. See at the reaction that they had. See how wowed they were by what he had to say when it came to this issue. You guys, for those of you that are already familiar with all this, a million times, in a million ways, I pray for the strength to continue to live out your beliefs, to have a long-term perspective of a God who sees you and who will help you and who will help you walk through a world where everything isn't always perfect or isn't always how He designed or intended. In your fight against sin and your quest to mature in the faith and achieve your goals, may God help you every day. May He bless the works of your hand and the passions, the desires of your heart. One of the really things interesting about standing, which is so true, is that I think I really struggled recently coming to terms with perhaps I will never have an earthly companion. Perhaps I'll never have kids. And I came to really realize, as well as some of my other friends, that so much of our concept of a happy life is built around this idea of having a sexual companion, a day-to-day companion, someone for date night, someone to grow old with, as we say, someone that you can kind of make your own little clan of, your family, and do the games and the sports and the picnics and the outings and see those kids grow up and into maturity. And, well, for many of us, we're really realizing, man, if we take God seriously, that might be off the table for us. Anyway, some of the kids are here. It's going to get loud, so I'll leave you with that. Bye, you guys.